The boy slowly pulled the rope to the wolf and then quickly tied it to his mouth. In this way the wolf could not bite. The boy got up and took the wolf away. But the hungry wolf did not intend to kill the wolf but to use water to clean his wound. Then he carried the wolf into a cave, but the next day the boy who woke up found that the wolf had already untied the rope on his mouth. The boy rushed to his mouth, but the wolf was not angry but slowly approached him with water. Carefully communicating with him in human language, maybe he felt the boy's sincerity. The angry wolf's mood gradually stabilized. He drank the water the boy brought. However, it was such a move. The first dog in the world was born. It turned out that Ada was the son of the original tribe leader 20,000 years ago, a few days ago. He followed the tribe to hunt here. Soon the tribe found a pile of cow dung. So everyone was excited to cover the smell with cow dung and then rushed forward, because not far away was the target they wanted to hunt. At this time, an ant climbed into one of the people's hands, but he ate the ant with a calm mouth. Soon, at the command of the leader, people rushed up with long hair without fear. This is a fierce confrontation of the tribe. Then they pointed their long hair to the cow herd. The cow herd was forced to retreat. In panic, a large number of cow herds rushed straight to the cliff, but the cow herd reacted. Angry, he rushed to the tribe leader's son, and he was Ada. Then Ada was hit by the cliff. Everyone screamed and rushed to the edge of the cliff. He grabbed the cliff wall tightly, but it was too far from the top of the cliff. He couldn't climb up at all. Everyone had no choice but to watch him fall off the cliff. His father wanted to jump down to save him, but he was pulled up by the tribe. Because he was the leader, he had to take the tribe back. Then the tribe came to the bottom of the cliff. They packed the cow dung. Then they ate a meal, but his father shouted at the cliff for a night. Ada still didn't wake up. The next day, the sad father set up a tombstone for his son. Then he led the tribe on their way home. Suddenly, he found Ada lying on the cliff. He was going to eat a meal, but the next second he shouted at his father loudly, but no one responded to him. He could only crawl up with his injured leg, but the cliff was too steep. He couldn't find the next landing point. His hands were dead. His body was hanging in the air. Suddenly, there was a thunder in the sky. The heavy rain fell suddenly. The cliff under his feet was submerged in rain. Because of the rain, Ada was seriously exhausted. He made a bold decision. When he woke up again, he was already on the mud. His leg was completely broken. He could only crawl up with his injured leg. Then he buried his head in the water. At this moment, his tired body and mind were temporarily relieved. Then Ada used the ancient orthopedic treatment to slowly connect his legs. In the end, he made a simple fixed nail. The wisdom of the original people really has two brushes. Soon Ada came to the cliff. The people of the tribe had not only gone far but also set up a tombstone for themselves. Seeing the tombstone, Ada kicked him away with anger. Then he fell on the ground desperately, but God didn't give him a chance to despair. A roar of howl came from afar. He hurriedly looked back. He found a few wolves staring at him. Ada could only run hard. I don't know how long he ran. After a moment of safety, Ada took out the only food and began to eat because he hadn't eaten for a few days. But who knew that he had just finished eating and the wolves surrounded him? Ada immediately ran up the tree, but he was still bitten by a wolf. In a crisis, he took out a dagger and stabbed the wolf that bit his leg. Then he took the opportunity to climb up the tree trunk, but the wolves still didn't want to let him go. They stayed under the tree all night. Ada, exhausted, could only sleep with the howling of the wolves until the next day. The wolves finally left, but the wounded wolf remained. So he made a spear with a knife and a wooden stick to finish this wolf, but this time the wolf slowly opened his eyes and looked at him pitifully. In this way, the boy was soft-hearted. Although his father taught him to kill countless times, he didn't do it once. So this time, Ada decided to save him. She carried the wolf to the river to clean his wound. Then she took him to a cave to rest, but when he woke up the next day, the wolf was staring at him, but he didn't care. Instead, he walked straight out of the cave to pick up the medicine. Then, while the boy was taking the medicine, the wolf untied the rope on his mouth with his front foot. He stabbed the boy in the shoulder. But Ada took the water and slowly approached him. She used human language that the wolf didn't understand to comfort his emotions. Sure enough, the method worked. The angry wolf quickly calmed down and drank the water she gave him, but due to the cold winter, they didn't have winter food yet. They could only eat insects for the time being. Although the wolf was dissatisfied, it was better than nothing to eat. That day, Ada suddenly found a wild rabbit. After a lot of thinking, he finally had the courage to kill the rabbit. But when he was about to grill the meat, the wolf took the opportunity to get up and prepare the meat, but at this time, he violently tore a piece of raw meat off and declared his sovereignty to the wolf. The fire was finally lit soon. Ada ate a meal, but the wolf didn't dare to move. Looking at his pitiful appearance, Ada scolded him fiercely. Then he threw the meat to him. At night, Ada carefully reached out her hand to touch the wolf. But the wolf looked down at her. In this way, one person and one wolf looked up at the sky. It seemed to reach a kind of tacit understanding. The next day, because the feet were almost healed, Ada planned to return home before the snowstorm. But the wolf bit her scarf tightly and didn't let her go. No matter how she drove, the wolf just lay still. Inevitably, Ada had to leave alone. But before she left, the wolf followed up again. It didn't matter how she drove, because the wolf had already relied on Ada. Suddenly the wolf ran towards the front. Surprised, Ada had to follow it closely. She found a few wild boars. The wolf suddenly rushed over. Ada picked up the scarf nervously. As a result, the wild boar ran to the front and let it go. The helpless wolf immediately showed a contemptuous look. How could there be such a terrible teammate? Although Ada explained to her, the wolf was still speechless, not knowing how long had passed. Ada began to whistle. The wolf, who was going to leave, rushed back immediately after hearing it, because the whistle seemed to have a magic power to drive him away. Since then, Ada gave him a name called Alpha. One person and one wolf began to hunt together. Alpha was responsible for catching. Ada was responsible for barbecuing. Although Alpha hated the ability of Ada to hunt when she slept at night, she would still sneak around her. But Alpha's body was always smelly, so Ada helped her take a bath every day. Although the way was rough, Alpha was very happy. After taking a bath, Alpha would take advantage of the opportunity to catch fish in the river. One person and one wolf had a pleasant life, but not long after, winter came again. The mountains were covered with snow overnight. Fortunately, they could work together now. Pinyu's warmth could basically be solved. But that night, a wolf suddenly appeared. Ada hurriedly took out the scarf, but the other party did not intend to hurt them. At this time, Alpha went straight to the wolf. After a few words, Alpha left with the wolf. Without a choice, Ada had to let him go, but every night, Ada still missed Alpha because she had long regarded him as her family. A few days later, Ada still rushed to the snow. Suddenly, she saw Alpha not far away, so she ran overexcitedly, but accidentally fell into the ice lake. The momentary ice water sucked her away. Ada hit the ice hard. At this time, Alpha also appeared on the ice. She tried her best to break the ice, but the ice did not change at all. At the moment of despair, Ada finally remembered the dagger in her bag. In the end, she used the dagger to break the ice and finally escaped. Then Ada held the trembling body and began to light the fire to warm it up. Then she took off her clothes and hugged Alpha tightly. They kissed each other like this. The next day, the snowstorm was still heavy, but she had no choice but to continue. At this time, there was a man sitting in front of her. Ada ran up excitedly to ask for help. As a result, the man's face was already frozen. He had been dead for a long time. Ada had no choice but to try to find something to eat in the house. But in vain, because there was no food in the snowstorm. Ada had no choice but to continue with the bow and arrow. But not far away, the hunter actually caught up. He hurriedly took Alpha into the cave. He thought he had escaped, but he did not expect that there was greater danger in the cave. A wild beast slowly walked out. Suddenly, he rushed at Ada fiercely. Alpha rushed up regardless of everything and fought the beast, but Alpha was not her opponent at all. At this time, Ada hurriedly took out the bow and arrow and shot the beast. One shot knocked him down, but Alpha did not come out. He cried out to Alpha sadly. Finally, Alpha crawled out slowly, but because of the wound all over his body, he fell heavily before he took a few steps. Then Ada used the beast's flesh to attack, and Alpha stayed by his side silently. Although the situation was getting worse and worse, they had no choice but to continue on their way. One man and one wolf continued to walk in the snow like this. Fortunately, God did not fail them. Ada finally found the totem of the tribe. The hope in her heart was rekindled again. They helped each other to move forward, because home is just ahead. But in the end, Alpha still fell. Sad, Ada could only hold Alpha and continue to move forward. Although the situation was very difficult, she always remembered her father's teaching to be a brave and strong person. The desire to survive in her heart also supported her all the time. A few days later, she finally saw her tribe. She excitedly told Alpha, who was in a coma, in her arms. Then she slowly walked to the tribe. Finally, at the door of the house, Ada completely let go of her breath and fell to the snow. Her father saw her and held her in his arms. Her mother also rushed over crying, because no one expected that she could come back alive. At this time, Ada pointed to Alpha, who was in a coma. Please take care of her, father, until she woke up. Alpha was lying quietly by her side. The Wushi government of the tribe touched her belly. Not once. The Wushi actually took out a few little wolves from her body. This made Ada feel even more guilty. I didn't expect Alpha to try her best to protect her. Not long after, Alpha's children grew up in the tribes. They accompanied Ada to grow up together. After every hunting trip, the tribe had more of these friends, until many years later they had a new name, Jack Wolf Dog. Everything is spiritual. Your sincere companionship, it gives you the trust and loyalty.